first of all, thank you everybody for taking a little bit of time to attend this meeting. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can so you have all the information that you need, and then and go through it fairly quickly. If you guys have questions, let's try to hold those for the end, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. You could throw it in chat if you don't want to necessarily come off mute and speak. Um, but happy to try to answer anything you guys have. All right, so let's get kick started. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So I always want to start off with who are we? We have a lot of new managers, new players into the club this season, and sometimes it's good to kind of level set where we came from. So we've been around for about 20 years. OEFC has. We're part of a partnership, as many people know, between Edmond Soccer Club and North Oklahoma City Football Club or Soccer Club. And about 2007, 8, they merged their competitive programs together and formed Oklahoma Football Club, which then merged into Oklahoma Energy Football Club. We have Academy now, which is really pretty exciting. And then development, premier, and elite programs in our competitive level. And just as a level set for 2025, we had about 105 teams. This last tryouts were actually looking more around 110 teams and had about 1,700, a little over 1,700 roster players last season. I think we'll probably exceed that as well. So, and then 60 coaches last season, but this season I think we're sitting on about 64. So certainly a moment of growth for the club, which we're pretty excited about. For the different programs that I mentioned, you guys can kind of come back and visit this, but I wanted to at least have something that explained a little bit more about what the programs are. So essentially, we run an elite, premier, and development level programs, and you can see what teams we bundle into each. It's not gospel, as far as what our players are capable of doing and where they fit. But our elite programs tend to play in the ECNL, ECRL type levels. Our premier programs are going to be your pre-ECNL and RL, and as well as our white and black teams this year. And then development programs are the red teams, gold teams, and so on and so forth. ECN, the elite programs tend to play nationally or at a wider region. Our premier programs will play regionally as well as statewide, and then our development programs are more statewide competition. So you can kind of see how the breakdown between U11 and U12, as well as U13 through U19, and where the teams fit in order. And we'll look at this a little bit more in depth. But first, this is what our player pathway pyramid kind of looks like. So, essentially we have our elite teams playing in the ECNL, ECNL Texas, ECNL Heartland, which are both boys programs. Girls play in ECNL Texas, and then the ECRL Texas, and then both programs, boys and girls, play in the ECRL Frontier. New this season, we have our fourth teams or our white teams, and they're playing in the new N1 league. If you don't know what that is, it's basically where US Club and USYS merged two of their top leagues together. So USYS merged their national league, US Club merged their MPL league, and put it into one big league and gave it a pathway into the ECRL. So our four teams are going to be playing in that. And then, of course, we have our OPL Gold, which is the Oklahoma Premier League, a statewide league, pre-ECNL, which most of our pre-ECNL teams play in a North Texas league, and then also a Frontier League, which is more Oklahoma and like Wichita. And then our development competition is that OPL, which is statewide. So this is an eye chart, but it's a rundown of basically what our teams, where they play, the targeted league. When we get into the development level, it just kind of depends on the coach and the field of the team, but where we're targeting from a league standpoint or where they may play. And then by color, because I got to organize everything, I put each team in there based off the program that they operate out of. So it's a little bit easier to find your team and then find out what program you're in and where you may be playing this next season. So with everybody on the call, what are the first steps for everybody here? If you have not done this, and many people have, but if you have not done this, this will be important. I need all team officials, that is the managers and the treasurers, to register in Got Sport. I've sent out the link. I will send it out again. I'll send out, or I'll post this presentation as well, so the link's available there. But there's a team official registration that gets you into my Got Sport, so I can add you to your teams. I also am having the managers at the very least register into Team Snap, because that'll get you into the new Team Snap One program, which is what we're using for team communication moving forward. And that'll give you the ability to add players in your team and start managing that account. Um, Work with your coaches on getting all the contact information for your players. They should have access to all of it, or to the vast majority of them, whether they were at tryouts or whether they were absentee. If you have problems chasing down a telephone number or email, let me know and I'll see what I can do of finding it. If it was a previous player, it's pretty easy to find. If it's not a previous player, then we may have to do a little bit more digging. I know that for those who will walk up and put it in the checkout book, sometimes you can't read their handwriting. So we'll just have to see if we can chase them down. You or your coach could certainly um, reach out and I can take care of that. For all new players or players who need new uniforms because they've gone through a growth spurt, we're ordering all uniforms from Soccer USA again. And you will do that this time through their website. They have a storefront on their website, and you can order OEFC jerseys and kits there. So you would do that, pick whether you want it shipped or whether you want to pick it up at the store, and then they'll fix it up and put it together and let you know when it's ready. Make sure you guys mute, please, just so we don't get any background noise. I know that there's a little bit of noise out there, so if you'll do that, do me that favor, that would be great. Um, and then let me know what you're helping with and what your team, if you haven't shot me an email or a text or something. That way I'm building a contact sheet, and that gives me the ability to add your information in there. So when I roll it out to everybody, it'll be accurate. And then lastly, encourage all your players to register. I know that we had a deadline, quasi deadline on the 15th on Monday. Um, Registration is going to stay open all year round because we have players who join us through mid-season. But we need to get players registered so we get their commitment and your coaches know who's on the roster, who's returning, or who's coming out, and who may have changed their mind. So we need to do that earlier rather than waiting until mid-July when it's a little more challenging to backfill some of those spots. All right, with that, Jamie, I think I did see you jump in here.
Yeah, I'm here, Brian.
Perfect. Appreciate it. So I will, so for those of you who've been with us for the past year, Engine is a wonderful travel partner that OEFC has partnered with essentially. They help organize travel for players and individuals if you want to organize through them as well. But really the reason why we partnered with them is they do a really good job of helping organize team travel, like if you're going to out of town games. And need to schedule hotel rooms or even get a rental car for a coach or something like that, then they do have a really great system that we utilize to accomplish that. And I wanted Jamie to kind of give a quick walkthrough of it so you guys get familiar with it, see what the capabilities are, and can use it moving into the new season. So, Jamie, I don't know, do you have presentation rights or do you need me to pop up your presentation?
I do need some presentation rights.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if I can. Let me see if I can give those to you real quick. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Make presenter. Okay. All
Here
right.
we go.
Look at that.
Let's see. See if my computer will allow me. Sometimes Teams is a little funky.
Doesn't play
Let me just
nicely.
get my settings going here. Give me one moment. I don't know. Let's see. We're having some screen recording issues. I don't know why this is prompting up. Let me just try to move this over and see if it will allow me to get it going.
Okay, if worse comes to worse, I can share on my side and you can just
Okay.
direct me. Oh, it looks like you're going.
All right, beautiful.
Perfect.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to hop on. I know you've got a jam-packed agenda, so I'll make this fairly quick. I'm your guys' dedicated account manager for Oklahoma Energy. So I am main point of contact for all things travel. Really excited to have you guys have a successful year this season. So I've put this together. We'll go through a bunch of resources here, and Brian's got this, so he'll share this out to everybody. So what I'm going to cover is what makes Engine different, help you guys get started. We'll go through email access, when to contact Engine directly or when to go to Brian. We'll go through the group booking process alongside duty of care and safety. We'll talk through resources and I'll give a super brief demo. So, with that being said, what makes Engine different from ways you guys are probably booking travel today, whether that be direct to hotel or Expedia? There's a lot of different ways out there, but Engine is a simplified booking management software. We have discounted rates within the system that you get specifically for working with Oklahoma Energy. With that, you get somebody like me. I'm your dedicated account support alongside 24/7 member support as well. We also support with group bookings anywhere from 8+ rooms. Maybe you need to get a room block for a hotel for 2 to 5 teams, whatever that looks like. We actually have a designated person that's able to go out to bid on your behalf. You guys won't be having to make those calls to the hotels and doing any of that legwork on that point of view. Same goes for the consolidated billing and the trip modification. So everything is super seamless, very easy to do, whether you're on our website or on our app. I'll show you exactly what that looks like, but that's a little bit of what makes Engine different and how we're really this true like white glove travel management system. So with that being said, getting started, um, we've got a link here which you guys will have access to, and it will prompt you to this page here, which is where you'll enter your email in order to get access to Engine's platform. It will prompt you to do one-step verification. You'll just type in a code that you receive via email. You'll get logged in. Now you'll have instant access to all of Engine's discounted rates. Specific to hotels, we also do flights and rental cars. So getting started here, this is a little glance at what the interface looks like, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like, but you'll be able to sign up with your email, and then you'll be able to book directly through the platform. I know that most people booking, rooms have used Expedia or are familiar with just going on Google. It's a very easy to use interface. I'll walk you through it quickly, but this is a glance of how you're going to get started for email access. So when you go to get logged in with this screen here with the link specific to Oklahoma Energy, again, this is not something that anybody can just have access to. It's specific to an organization like Oklahoma Energy. So we have these current domains. So Hotmail, Gmail, SteamRite. I'm not going to read everything out here on the screen, but these are the domains that are allowed to sign up under Oklahoma Energy's organization. So if you have a different domain for your email, that's when you would ping me, let Brian know. I'll be able to easily get that set up so that you guys get access to Engine. And again, work around, use a personal email for sign up. We have majority of those in there, whether that be a Gmail, a Yahoo, a Hotmail. When to call us. So a couple different ways. Booking for 9+ rooms or more. So this would be our groups tab. So this would be anything that you were looking for, like a large room block. We can negotiate these prices directly with the hotel on your guys' behalf. You actually have a dedicated group sales manager. That's going to be Alexa Davis. I'll make sure you guys have all of her contact information, and I'll show you how to do this on the platform too. But any sort of group booking, that's going to go through her. She'll do all the nitty-gritty dirty work for you. Otherwise, for any last minute or same day modifications, account requests, any issues at check-in, we have our 24/7 member support. You can contact them with their phone number right here. You can contact them via email. We also have a chat that is going to be through the system, which I'll show you as well. And then any sort of escalation that you need, that's when you come to me. So if you're not satisfied with our member support, that's when you would come to me. I work with Brian kind of big picture to ensure that the success of our partnership is going smoothly. So I essentially oversee the partnership here. Groups booking. So this is one thing that we briefly touched on, and this is just kind of outlining the process of how this works. Again, I'll show you exactly how it works on the system, but you'll be able to go in there and say, all right, ECNL Texas, I need 20 rooms, I need 50 rooms, and these are my top 10 preferred hotels. I prefer a kitchenette, I prefer a pool, free breakfast, all this fun stuff. You'll put this in, you'll put in like your budget in there as well. And then that's where Alexa is going to go out to bid on your guys' behalf. She'll send over the proposals to whoever put in this group's request. And from there, you'll accumulate all of these options. She'll outline everything for you in terms of cancellation policies, all the contractual details. From there, you'll sign an agreement and everything will be housed in Engine. So it's really this one-stop shop for all your travel needs. One thing I want to highlight, duty of care. So this is a newer release that we have to the system, but this is actually going to highlight safety when it comes to where you guys are traveling. So it will give you real-time alerts, whether that be weather, tornadoes, danger within the area, maybe large events, kind of a crazy world we're living in these days. So lots of things are popping up here and there. And so we want to make sure that you guys are staying in tune with what's going on, especially where you have your travel booked, especially with the teams that we're working with in the youth as well. So something I wanted to highlight for you guys, and I'll show you what that looks like. Otherwise, resources, I'm almost done here. I'm trying to highlight this kind of high level to make sure we know exactly what everything is. Resources, I'm going to jump over to my other screen here, but I've made this digital sales room for you guys that's going to give you everything you need to know, step-by-step videos, one pagers, details of who to contact, all of that. So I'll jump over to that. Before I do that, just want to show you the contacts. Again, you guys have my email, so anything urgent, you need a point of escalation, you can come to me. Alexa, again, anything groups, that's your girl. And then 24/7 member support. We've got their email, their phone number, and I'll show you how to chat them online. But otherwise, I'm going to flip to my other screen here and we'll quickly walk through the resources. And then I will show you a quick little demo here and we will let you back to it. So just to show what this is going to look like. Brian will share this link with all of you guys. It's a training resource hub. So it highlights a lot of what I just showed you on the PowerPoint. It's kind of a different point of view, but we're going to showcase how do you do this on desktop? How do you do this on your mobile phone? We have video tutorials here. And then if you have any troubles signing up step by step, exactly what to do, how to book, who to call. We've got that email domain workaround, which I know for some of you guys who are returning from last year, I know that that was kind of a snag. We've really worked hard to ensure we won't run into that this year. But again, if we do, that's what I'm here for. Really, the whole point here is Engine is a white glove service for you guys. So that includes that group booking process. No cost. Just want to reiterate, no cost at all to be utilizing Engine's platform. You reap all the rewards. Free to use, discounted rates, and somebody like me to help you along the way. So we have our booking features here. So if you guys are Hilton members or Marriott, you can actually click through these different tutorials as to how can I add my loyalty points in here so I get the points, but I also get Engine's discounted rate. Same goes for cancellation policy too. So we have everything that's outlined in here. These are all videos. If we scroll down, I even have travel tips that are outlined for you guys. Best times to book, when you guys need to cancel by, multi-city trips. Again, these loyalty points I know are pretty common and pretty lucrative. As we scroll down here, again, booking reminders. We work with a lot of clients that are just like you guys, a lot of different organizations. So we've seen a lot of success with the partnership with Engine. And these are some of the reminders and call outs we wanted to highlight alongside some of these different one-pagers too. more testimonials. And again, you've got all of our contact information here. So if you need anything, you can click on this again and you'll get my email, member support, all of that. So I'll make sure you have all of this information. And last piece here, I know I've been yapping, but we are going to go ahead and let's say ECNL Texas. So let's go to Dallas. And again, you can be particular. You can search a specific hotel name. Maybe you stayed somewhere last year that you really, really liked. You can go ahead and search that particular hotel, or you can go in and just do Dallas, Texas. We're gonna do we'll go 2 rooms.
Hey, Jamie, you're still showing the worksheet again. You haven't
Oh,
switched over to the
all
tool
right.
itself.
Thank you.
Yep.
Teams is a little different than I'm used to. You guys can see this now?
Is Yep, there it is. Perfect.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Thank you for calling that out. You'll see here, this is kind of what I was referring to. You could type in a specific hotel. So something's popped up here. Maybe Donovan, I don't know, maybe you've stayed here before. I am using you as an example because I know we've talked a little bit this week. Anywho, I typed in Dallas, Texas. You'll come in, plug in your dates. I did July. I know July is pretty busy for you guys. Then this is where you'll come in and select the amount of rooms, adults, children, age requirement. This is where you can come in here. For sake of example, I'm just going to go ahead and do a search because I really don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. You'll see that this is going to get loaded. You get a nice map that's going to showcase here, and then we get all of our filters up here as well. So as this gets loaded, you'll be able to filter based off of price, star rating, free breakfast. I know when I was growing up playing soccer, free breakfast was like the best thing in the world. So I'm going to click into this. Free parking as well, refundable. This isn't super applicable to you guys because you guys are a part of our Flex Pro program, which I'll make sure you guys have all the details on. But essentially, as long as you cancel within a certain amount of time, that being noon of check-in, you're good to go. No additional fees are going to hit your books. With that being said, you'll see how, easy the platform kind of is to navigate in here. You'll see free breakfast, free parking. And again, if you put in your loyalty points, it would say, all right, Marriott Bonvoy, it would highlight the ones that would be eligible for you to get the points. This has a pool. This looks incredible. So again, you would just come in. This one's kind of catching my eye just because the pool looks nice. Maybe you want something a little bit cheaper. We'll go Holiday Inn Express. We can choose this room and it's going to jump me to a new tab. So let me share this tab with you guys. And this is going to, again, you can zoom out on the map. You can see exactly what you're going to get. So whether that be a standard king bed, you can search in here as well if you want different size, the amounts. So again, if you wanted 2 queen beds, things like that, like you guys will have tons of options here. And again, it will list everything out. As we scroll down as well, you'll see the free breakfast, all the amenities that are like, included with this alongside the check-in and the checkout details, the map, and then down here we have ratings and reviews too, just to ensure that everything is going smoothly. From there, you would go ahead and select a room. Don't worry, Donovan, I'm not going to book this on your card here just to kind of complete the booking and showing you guys how it works. This is where you would come in and you would put in the guest information. So you can come in, add new travelers, and then you would come in and add your payment method, team name, and book now here. Last thing I want to highlight is going to be this chat box. This is going to be how you're able to contact support. Another thing I do want to quickly highlight is going to be if I jump back to my other screen and I jump out of here. I'm just going to go back to the main thing. This is going to be how you can manage your trips. And last call out before I change tabs here, I'm on lodging, all things hotels. If you want to look at flights, this is, you click this tab, cars, and then that group's offering. So again, this is where you could come in. You would say Dallas, Texas. It's going to auto default to 9 rooms because again, this is anything minimum of 9 rooms. You can solidify the event, sports. Then it'll take you over to a similar process of the screen that I was just on. You'll be able to select, these are my top 5 hotels that I'd like to stay at. Then it pings Alexa. She'll go in and do all the dirty work on that side of things, and contact those hotels, get a good amount of rates for you there. Last piece would be the trips tab. So if you ever have any issues or you are looking for the details of your booking, this is going to be where you access that. So your confirmation number, we've got all the room information, trip info, and then need help. This is where it will prompt you, hey, call engine support, and this booking confirmation number will be your best friend. Um, Otherwise, I think that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you letting me hop on and show you how to utilize Engine. But again, looking forward to this season, and I'm here to support you with all your travel needs. So, Brian, thank you so much for having me.
Yep, Jamie, thank you. There was one quick question as to whether when you place the group order, you can differentiate those who want to stay just one night versus those who may want to stay 3 nights. If you can,
Yes.
if you have that much detail.
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you're doing groups orders specifically, there's actually going to be a section in there for notes. And you can type anything in there for the notes. It goes directly to Alexa. So you can be super specific. Hey, only need these 10 rooms for these 3 days, but I need these 15 rooms for 2 weeks or whatever that kind of looks like. So you can get super specific as to what that looks like. And then again, when it comes to groups, you're not locked into anything until you sign that agreement. So, kind of no harm, no foul. Like you can always send those requests over to Alexa. She can go out and negotiate pricing on your behalf. If it works out, amazing. If not, I mean, no harm, no foul. Of
Perfect. Thank you for that. All right.
course.
If you guys run into other questions, feel free to email Jamie herself or email me and I'll pass it along. But it's a great resource. I can attest to it because I actually booked World Cup hotel lodging yesterday. And when I searched around, the lodging I got out of Engine was about $50 a night cheaper than what I could get from the hotel directly. So definitely a good thing. And it's available for individual users. It's not just something you have to use as a team. So if there are members on your team or family members or whatnot who want to utilize it, then it's available for their use as well. So, all right, Jamie, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. We'll get kicked off. You're like I said earlier, you're feel free to stick around and kind of learn about the club, or you can jump off your call. All right, let me go back to sharing my screen. Where's my share? There it is. All right, I think we're back in business on our side. All right, so I'm going to cover treasurer stuff first, and then we'll get into the manager stuff. So treasurers, we have a partnership with First Fidelity Bank. That's where the vast majority of our teams have opened up their team bank account. And that's where we have kind of the instructions to simplify opening of that bank account. So the specific responsibilities, um, are organized between you and the coach. Find out what the coach needs you to do from a treasurer standpoint. But traditionally, it's centered around managing the bank account for the team and the finances. The coach needs to have specific understanding of how the team's doing from a finance standpoint. So please make sure to loop them in on a regular basis on where the bank account is, if you're having issues with any players paying, if there's any issues with collecting and you're trying to go to a tournament, just make sure to have open correspondence with your coach. As I said, we partnered with First Fidelity Bank, and then each team will need to establish their own EIN to have that bank account. You don't use the club one. And if you go to Manager Corner, which I'll show you throughout this presentation, there are instructions on how to establish that EIN, how to establish a bank account. We've made it so that you could pretty much do it online as well. And then if you have problems, let me know because we have board members who are members within First Fidelity Bank that can certainly help out. You also establish that team fee collection uh, process. Some teams collect on an event by event basis. Some teams will look at the entire season and average kind of what the overall cost for team fees might be, and then charge players on a monthly basis to build a war chest, let's just say. I'll allow you to kind of make the decision on what you want to do. Building the war chest tends to be a little bit easier because it's predictable. But that does require your coach to have a pretty good understanding what the events they want to do over the year are. So again, have that conversation. We do want you to provide players with a monthly account balance statement on that manager's corner on our website under resources. There's an example that you can use, or if you've got a better Excel than we do, then please, by all means, utilize whatever you've got. Simplify it. And then teams will run into a situation where you need to have a policy on event attendance versus paying. The club policy is if the player is on the roster, then they pay for their portion of the event, regardless of whether they attend or not. If they aren't going to go to the tournament, but they are part of the team, we still expect them to pay their portion. If a player is hurt, then they could be removed from the roster until they return, usually only on a long-term deal. If they just sprained an ankle and be out 2 weeks, we wouldn't necessarily want them to jump off the roster. But again, if they're on the roster, we expect them to pay their portion of team fees, because if they don't, then somebody else has to cover their bogey, and we don't want that. Um, Team treasurer would help with collection of those payments for team fees. And then please, again, have open communication with your coach on delinquent players. The rule is if a player is 30 days past on team fees, then they need to sit out, or they need to have a plan on how to get caught back up. That's pretty important, because there are some instances where players have gotten pretty far behind and they get themselves in a hole that they can't get out of. We want to make sure to avoid that. So from a player fee snapshot, this is on our website as well, but just so you see, um, the registration fee, as many who are registering now know that there's a $295 upfront registration fee. We do have the ability, or you do have a choice of splitting that into two payments, one now and one in November 15th, or paying it all up front. And then annual dues. Both the registration and dues are part of Got Sport, and they're collected by the club. You can see the dues depended upon what program you're in. Uniforms, if you were to buy the full kit, are roughly about $350. And then team fees, which you'll run into, again, are split across the roster played. And they're basically the activity that your teams do, whether they be tournaments, whether they be out of town league games. It could be travel, per diem, hotels for coach, a rental car for coach, mileage if they take their own car. Obviously, if a coach rents a car, that you don't pay mileage, but you would pay fuel. If they drive their own car, then you would pay their mileage. And then field usage fee, which will be one of the first fees you'll want to collect for, which is $350 per practice night per season. So if you're practicing on 2 nights a week, then that'd be $700 for the fall, $700 for the spring. And then we do have a team snap fee for $50, and that's once a year. We do offer financial aid. The financial aid application is open right now, and I would encourage anybody who's interested in applying. It is based off of first come, first serve, and we measure it on need. There's some requirements for players to provide information through that, but we'll kind of see who it best fits and start allocating those financial aid packages pretty quickly. The financial aid offsets the club dues only. That's something important that the players need to understand, is they will pay registration regardless of whether they get financial aid or not. So you'll see that a lot of players who will want to wait to register, or wait to register until they find out if they got financial aid. But it doesn't help them to wait, because they're still paying that registration fee. And they have to have obviously registered for us to be able to apply the financial aid. So the other key thing on this is anybody who gets financial aid must complete 4 shifts of volunteer work, either at one of these at some event, whether it's an ESC, NOKC, or an OEFC event. That is not for you guys to police. It's just for you guys to know, and maybe let them know. Um, but they would be required to do that, and then they would be required to provide their sign-up sheets or their hours sheets for the next financial aid that they apply for. And here are some of the events that we allow players to volunteer for. The first one coming up will be our August 1st opening night celebration, bouncy houses and water slides and stuff like that, all the way to next year's tryout. So there are lots of events for players to be able to volunteer and get those sessions in. And then for contacts, Jenny Rassico is our treasurer, and she would be a point of contact if you have questions. I'm always available as well. If you need the club mailing address, it's there. And then, like I said, you can go see the fees and a lot more information from the OKEnergyFC.org website under resources and player forums. Um, if you'll mute, that would be great. I think we've got a little bit of background noise. Quick rule of thumb, just from a treasurer standpoint, do what's simple. Simple is always best, and do what's cheapest. I mean, what is best for the players and the families when it comes to booking, where you book a hotel room, what kind of car a coach would get. If a coach is thinking about driving versus flying, which one's cheaper? That should be where you start at. Number two, treasurers are not collection agents. Coach has to help work on players who are not current and help with collections. And then if you have any doubts in the situation, reach out to me and I'll help out. Reach out to Jenny and she can help out. And like I said, champion common sense. Keep everything simple as you can. On our website, under resources, there's at the very bottom of the team manager corner, there are specific information for treasurers on how to set up the bank account, how to um, get the EIN, that sample budget, so on and so forth. So make sure you guys go check that out. All right, with that, we'll shift over to the managers themselves and get to through their responsibilities. Very similar to the treasurers. The manager responsibilities are agreed between you and the coach, but traditionally you guys handle most of the common communication with the team, emailing out when schedules are, emailing out when changes happen, sending out updates, whether it be text, email, or Team Snap. But your coach still needs to be directly in contact with the team. You are not their secretary, and you're not necessarily their spokesperson either. So, coach needs to have that direct dialogue with the teams and updating the teams as well. The players want to hear from the coach. So make sure you guys are championing that as well. The Team Got Sport account, I'm adding managers as you get registered on the team official registration. I'm adding you guys to those Got Sport accounts so that you can then see what's going on. Hold on, let me see if I can find who's making noise out there. Will you guys double check your I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna mute everybody. All right. I think we're good now. All right. Um, so where was I? So so I'm adding you to Got Sport, and that's where you'll manage your OPL account and the A1 account or the L1 account. Um, then you also handle team league tournament registrations, usually through your Got Sport or your Athlete One if you're in the ECNL team. I'll handle most of the registration in the leagues for ECNL. And then any out of town accommodations. I asterisk this because some teams will have a travel coordinator that's not the manager. So if you want to enlist help to do any functions of the manager functions that we're talking about, then I am 100% okay with people splitting duties. We just need to have everybody register as a team official who will be in that type of leadership position. So if you got some people who want to help or want to tag team with somebody, then more power to you. Team managers will request roster changes and updates from the coach. So if you're doing a club pass player or a guest player, or you're moving a player on and off the roster, that'll be something that you'll handle with me. And then all team documentation. And what I mean by that is some tournaments still require you to have paper birth certificates and paper medical releases for check-in at those tournaments. And so you'll want to keep a copy of that easily available for that reason in a team folder or something along those lines. And then we recommend that teams have a separate team treasurer from a manager. I know that there's some very type A managers out there that would be willing to want to do team treasurer as well. That's fine. But if you would just let me know if you're doing both roles, that way I can be aware of that. And then anything else that comes up, work it out between you and the coach. If you have a question, call me, but usually most stuff can be worked out between you and the coach. So got sport. Again, when you log into your Got Sport account after I add you to your team, you should see the team account under team management. So that's where you'll do most of your work around your team. When you get in there, everybody who is a team official will have requirements that you have to complete. If you're USYS, you'll have a background check, safe sports, and a heads up concussion training that you have to do. If you're ECNL, you'll have a separate background check and safe sports that you'll need to accomplish as well. Everybody needs to do a background check at the very least. Um, Keep in mind you won't show up on the roster until you complete all your requirements, and you can find those requirements in GotSport under your dashboard. So if you click your picture and then see dashboard, you'll see those requirements. If you haven't ever done Safe Sports, it takes a little bit to do. Um, but if you've already done it once, you just have to take one of the refreshers. There's three refreshers. Don't take all three of them. Just take one of them, and then you'll need to keep your certificate after each course that you've completed for later reference or so that you can send it to me and I can get you credit for having completed that. If you run into problems, give me a shout. I think we talked a little bit about team accounts. They'll show up under your team management, and that's where you'll get the rosters, get your player cards, you'll update player info, and then when you have games, you'll have game cards that has the roster for both teams in that game, and you give those to the referee. A lot of this is going digital, but that's where you would retrieve the printed out game card as well. And then for those ECNL, ECRL, pre-ECNL, you'll work out of Athlete One, which I'll add you into as well. You'll want to download the ECNL app onto your phone because that's the app that you'll check players in digitally. I'll add you as a manager, and then you'll have access to your team. And then we'll wait till regionals before we start really updating Athlete One so that those teams that are in regional still have their 2025, 26 account listed. One important thing for both ECNL level teams and OPL and Elite, any player who is 18 years old during the season will need to complete safe sports on their own as well. There are instructions under the player forms page on how to accomplish that because it's one of those things that for some strange reason our teenagers struggle with every year. So I put step-by-step instructions on how to fix it or how to complete it that they should be able to get through. Just so you know, you might run into some other systems as you're getting into tournament. So you might go to another tournament that uses TGS or uses Sports Engine as their platform, where we use Got Sport or Athlete One. In those instances, they don't sync up with anything that we operate. So you might be building your roster from scratch just for that tournament. So just be aware of it. And then Team Snap One. This is a new thing for the season, and I apologize to anybody who's struggling with it. Basically, Team Snap did a full upgrade on their application and have moved to Team Snap One, and they're forcing everybody to go to Team Snap One. So we are in line with that. We have a contract with them and have established a Team Snap One account for every team. It's very heavily discounted, so that's why it's $50 versus what they should be charging us is like $100 if you got it on your own. Um, and like I said, I already created an account for everybody. Managers will use that as your communication tool. You'll update the rosters with the members. Just keep in mind that Team Snap is for team updates only. It's not there to be social media. It's not there to have people advertise to you and the team on that. So make sure that we're not using it for those purposes and we're just using it for team updates and communication. And then most of the team managers should have gotten the link to register, but I'll include it in the presentation as well that you guys can then go and register and we can easily add you and give you control of your team snap. All right, so what's next for 26-27? I'm assigning players to your rosters as we speak. If a player, as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, if a player was registered, they've been added to your Got Sport roster. The specific roster you want to look under is the 2026 core roster, not the team members roster, not last year's roster, because that'll all show old players. Make sure you guys are checking the 2026 one. That's the one that I'm updating. And then what we'll do is we'll use that one to clone any future rosters. So we're working from a current and pure player list. If a player is missing a picture or a number, you can update it within your Got Sport team account. All the players, once all players are assigned, then I'll finalize the rosters and create an official roster and player passes for you guys. So that'll probably happen towards the end of July, just so you know from a timing standpoint. And I'll let you know when they're ready and we'll get them out to you guys. For the player passes, I highly encourage you to laminate them because sometimes you'll be playing soccer in the rain and we don't want to get them messed up. Like I said earlier, a lot of the events you're going to be participating in are going to digital, so you can just show on your phone, which will help with that player pass lamination thing as well. All right, so I've got 4 different player passes here that you can see examples of. The one in the top left corner is really the only good one to when it comes to the photo that's required on a player pass. It needs to be a headshot, needs to be easily recognizable. Certainly nobody in a Spider-Man costume is going to pass. The bottom left corner is great, except you can't see who that player is. It's too far away, so let's avoid far away pictures or action shots. And then the last one, for those of you know who Dax Hampton is, Dax is actually one of our coaches. So that picture does not necessarily reflect him at his current state. That is from many, many years ago. So make sure that your players' pictures are current. That's usually one of the biggest issues that we run into outside of the far away pictures is that it's the same picture when they had in the youth academy when they're 7 years old. And so we need to make sure if you'll help me go through this and request that players update their pictures, that would be great. There's actually instructions on our website under that players forum on how to update their pictures if they say that it's becoming too complicated. Other things before we freeze rosters at the end of July, if we add any new players between now and then, they're going to register as normal through our website. We keep registration open pretty much the entire year. Just verify that the headshot is current. And just for those people who are trying to update their pictures, you might remind them that the picture needs to be a JPEG or a GIF, and it's got to be 50 or 500K or less. Otherwise, it won't save. And they'll think they saved it and they won't have. And then you'll go screaming at them again. And then they'll try to save it again because they're uploading a 3 meg, iPhone picture and it's a big circle. So make sure to help them with that. And then verify that their jersey numbers as well. Make sure that their account has the correct jersey number, especially with this last year where we had a lot of players change teams and perhaps change jersey numbers. We'll want to update their account. And then if it's a player coming in from another club, sometimes those other clubs forget to release their players and it'll be blocked in our system. I'll let you know, but just be aware that sometimes if you're trying to add somebody really quickly because it's right before a game, that may not be possible if they have not been released by a previous club. Team paperwork. So there's a team field agreement. This was sent to your coaches. It's also where they selected when they wanted to have their practices and where they wanted to play out. I'll have that on their coaches corner, but the coaches are in charge of the team field agreement. So just be aware that that's on their plate. I think we've already talked about the birth certificates and having medical releases available for you guys. Do be aware that U.S. club medical releases are different than USYS medical releases. They're both on our website under the player forums, and they're both titled separately. But players get confused. If you are an ECNL team and a player hands you a medical release that says USYS on it, you have to send them back to get a US club one, and vice versa. So just watch out for that. We tried to, but like I said, it's on our website, so it's easy to access. Um, Financial aid applications, we talked about those. They're out now. I did have a due date of 6/15, but we will take applications till we run out of financial aid to give out, and then we'll build a wait list in case players drop out who had a package that we might be able to reallocate to players. So if you have players who need financial aid, please encourage them to apply. And if you have players that didn't get one, then encourage them to stick around, and that we'll allocate one out if it becomes free to do so. All right, manager folders. Again, very useful to have everything together in one folder. The player passes, your medical releases, your birth certificate. Always a good idea to have a PDF or a printout of your official roster, and then your league game cards as you're out of games. Like I said, a lot of things are going digital, but paper is always good to have as a backup. This is what a game card looks like. So you'll pull this from your team account in the event schedule, and it'll have your team and it'll have the team that you're playing both listed on there. If you see the orange line there, what that is, it's club pass players, and that'll show you who's guest playing on in that game from that particular team. So this is just an example of what it looks like that you would print out and then traditionally give this to your referee for the game. Your official roster is going to be a list of all your players with a picture and their information, their jersey number, so on and so forth. This is what you would utilize for, if check into a tournament per se. International clearance. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but you just should be aware of it. FIFA put out a rule that if there's a foreign-born player out there, they need to be completed or cleared by U.S. Soccer to play in games and tournaments. So if you have a player who has an international birth certificate, you might just let me know about it, and we can let them go through the international clearance process. They do it directly with U.S. Soccer. They turn in some forms, and then traditionally they turn around and U.S. Soccer approves them. If a player's been with the club for a couple of years, then they more than likely have already gone through it. But we would want to try to get everybody who fits this through it. It's not any sort of censoring of it. There's not necessarily any tracking that they're foreign born. It's just so that another country can't claim that the kid moved here to play for U.S. Soccer, that they had to have moved here for parents' job or something like that. It's silly at our level, but it's one of those things FIFA may put out there. So just let me know if you run into this situation. I'll help you navigate through it. Uniforms. Again, send your players to Soccer USA. They have two stores, if you don't know, one on May and one across the street from Edmond Soccer Club. And the players can order their uniform packages online through the Soccer USA website. Um, for numbers, you'll want to coordinate numbers for your team so you don't have any duplicates, but there's no club rule that you'll need to coordinate between teams. So if a player on an ECNL team wants number 7 because they love Ronaldo, and a player on an ECRL team loves Ronaldo as well, then both can have number 7. Here's my recommendation to them. Have the team buy a few extra sets of jerseys to have available. So if you have a guest player that has a conflicting number, they can just use one of those extra jerseys. The other reason why it's really good to have is if you're playing in a game in Dallas, Texas, or in Houston or Colorado, and their jersey gets bloody or is torn, you won't have a spare unless you buy extra sets. And so if you have an extra set of jerseys there, you can quickly flip him in that new jersey and get him back out on the field. So that's what my recommendation is. But work that out with your team and your coach. All right, we're flying through it. Try to get you guys out pretty quickly. Um, Mid-season player changes. Adding a new player during the season is going to be the same as it was before the season. They register through our website. I'll add them to the roster. We'll verify their picture and get them going. Um, Play releasing a player. This is where I need a little bit more help that we've gotten in the past. If a player wants a release, they have to register for a release. They do that through Got Sport. There's a link on our website under registrations that goes to a Got Sport release registration. It also has outlines the rules around a release. Um, that way players can give us the information or update us that they're wanting to leave. They don't ask for a release, and if they just disappear or if they just leave, they will continue to be charged for dues because I won't know that they have left, and I won't know to have adjusted their Got Sport account to not charge to stop charging for dues. That happens a lot. And so if you can help me tell them that they need to be released in order to quit having dues paid, and I don't think we've ever turned down a release. If they do have outstanding dues or team fees, then we would ask them to get caught up before we release them. But usually we can work out a plan for that so they can be taken care of. But if you'll make sure to make note of that, asterisk that, whatever you need, that would be wonderful. Mid-season changes as well from transferring players between teams. We can transfer and move players between teams at any point. Just email me and both the coaches, and if you can, the parent on an email chain, letting me know who's going from where to when, or what team to from what team and when. That way, everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what's coming. If we're transferring players between clubs, that's where it requires a player release, whether we're releasing or whether the other club is releasing, whichever way we're transferring. We'll have to release them or it won't allow it. So there's got to be some coordination along those lines. All right, tournaments. We have three tournaments that we host ourselves. ESC's Beat the Heat. That's going to be the first thing we're going to run into for the 26-27 soccer season. They have a girls' weekend and a boys' weekend coming up. NOKC Spring Finale, which happens in May, and then our own OEFC Showcase tournament in December. Those are all three required tournaments. Your coaches know this as well. They will be the ones to work with the to get permission if you guys have a conflict from the DOC. So from a team planning standpoint, make sure you work with the coaches, but expect that each one of those will be required to attend because there are tournaments. And we need you guys to play in it to attract other teams to want to come play in it. Tournament selection and how often is up to the coach. My only ask is make sure the coaches read the tournament rules. Each tournament has a little bit different set of rules, and especially when it comes to the number of guest players you can have or how big of a roster you can have. It's just probably a good idea to go over those rules quickly and understand them. Guest player and permission to travel forms. So USYS has a guest player form and a permission travel form. Both of them are done through Got Sport in the forms section of your team account. They're basically online questionnaire that you fill out, and it should turn around and automatically approve you, and then you use that for the tournament because the tournament will require you to provide that documentation. Um, if you have any questions, you can reach out to oksoccer.com. They have some good information on their website or ask me. US Club does not have a guest player form. They don't require it. They do have a player loan form, which some tournaments will use as a guest player form. So just be aware of that. Um, and then it's good for every team to decide whether you're going to play in the USYS State Cup or President's Cup at the end of the year because it sets everybody on the expectation and keeps everybody from a position of getting not deciding at the very end of the year that they aren't going to come play in that, and then you don't have enough to field a team. So have that conversation before the season starts. That way everybody's on the same page. The leagues we talked in a little bit about, but just so you guys are aware, OPL is our statewide league. That's where most of our development players or teams will play in. The U11 through U14 will have a fall and a spring season. U15 through U18 will have one extended season that goes through the fall till about end of February. That is to not conflict with with Oklahoma high school soccer. Pre-ECNL plays out of North Texas, but they'll also play the pre-ECNL Frontier will play Arkansas and Wichita and Oklahoma teams as well. And pre-ECNL is just U11, U12. The new N1 league is regional, and that's Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kansas teams. And that's U13 and above, and it's for our fourth teams. And then, of course, the ECRL and ECNL are U13 and above, and that's our first, second, and third teams. And they tend to be regional, if not national, conferences. So OPL, since that's a good majority of hopefully the people on this call, quick timeline, just so you know, the OPL application is open now. You can go to OK Soccer's website to apply. The application closes technically around July 17th, so you have a little bit of time. They'll start doing bracketing by the end of July, and then they'll put schedules out at the beginning of August. Season begins around September 12th, and then it'll run for the younger kids through December 6th, and for the older kids, it ends at the beginning of February. Rescheduling, something that would probably be important to pay attention here as well. So ESC and OKC have rules around rescheduling that if you're going to reschedule, you need to do so 14 days in advance. The reason being is that they lock up the referees pretty early to make sure that we have referees for your games. And then when we reschedule, they still have to pay those referees. So they require you to give them plenty of notice, and be aware that if you cancel a game within that window, there's a high likelihood that when you reschedule it, you'll have to pay referee fees. Traditionally, the club will pay all the referee fees for the first scheduled game, but if you reschedule a game and it's not done well in advance, then your team or the opponent's team, if they're the ones rescheduling, would be responsible for paying those fees. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'll walk through every bit of it for you. League stuff. So club pass playing, for those of you who don't know, is basically where you're allowed to use a player from another team in a league game with your team. The rules around it is that you cannot pull a player that's in a league that is 2 levels above you, or really 2 levels above you is about the only rule. You can pull players from 1 level above you, 1 level below you, or the same division that you're in. So just kind of be aware of that. The coaches should be the one identifying who those players would be and requesting the club pass players. But a lot of the time they'll turn to you and say, let's get this kid, and then I just need your help keeping them within the rules. The other thing to keep in mind is that with club pass players, U11, U12, you're limited to 3 per game. U13 through U19, you're limited to 4 per game. And then I make the moves. So you guys, please don't add players to your roster in Got Sport. I'll make all the roster moves, and then I'm the one that adds Club Pass players to your roster. So if you'll let me know, hopefully by end of Wednesday, I can guarantee you I can get them on your roster. After that, there's no guarantees. Now, I am pretty darn good about getting them on your roster with very short notice, because it's all very digital. But if I happen to be out of pocket or traveling or something like that, I don't want you to get in a position where you're not getting that Club Pass player because you can't get hold of me. And then also, if you'll help me with the spelling of the name, that sometimes is a little bit tricky, as you all probably know, having looked at your rosters over the years. Dual rostering. So if I come to you and say this player needs to be dual rostered, that means that a team that is in one conference, like the ECNL, is wanting to roster a player from the other conference, like USYS or OPL. That means that we have to roster that player in the other association. So if they're wanting to play in an ECNL, ECRL game, pre-ECNL game, they have to be registered with US Club / ECNL. If they were wanting to play in an OPL game, they have to be registered with USYS. So we'd go through a dual rostering process where we would then go roster them with that other association. There is a $30 fee to accomplish that. But then we have to go through the steps of normal registration for that player. So if that's the case, then please let me know and I'll help you through or help them through the process. Just keep in mind that if we're going from USYS into ECNL, it could take as long as a week to accomplish. If we're going from ECNL to USYS, it's usually pretty automatic, and so I can knock it out pretty quickly, but there are still steps to accomplish. But that's what dual rostering is. Hopefully everybody's taking notes on questions. I'll try to get questions here at the end. But we're pretty close to the end on this. Um, just quick notes, home team wears the lighter color, so would be white for us. And then home team provides the game balls. Game cards, again, they're available in Got Sport or in Athlete One under team management, and you would present that to the referees. The cards are for a lot of the for ECNL are digital, so I think you actually give a QR code to the referees that they can scan and update scores. And then the winning team is usually the one that's responsible for logging those results into the appropriate system. If it's a tie, then the home team would do that. As far as during games, uh, coaches and only the coaching staff are allowed on the benches. We don't allow parents and we don't allow team officials on the benches. So make sure you guys help us police that if you would. And then definitely, we've got to encourage everybody clean up after your games. We have some really good facilities, and we're going to have some really great ones in a couple of years. And it's on us to make sure we keep them clean and take care of them. If there's a cancellation, we do need to let the other team know. So let's say you guys are needing to cancel because of weather, and we shut down the facility, then just make sure the other manager knows so that they know not to show up. It also to just make sure if you're canceling for, players are sick or you just can't field the team to let the referee assigner know, and the league know that you're not going to be able to play that game. From a cold weather standpoint, if it's 40 degrees or warmer out, then we play the games. If it's less than 40 degrees, there's a little bit of wiggle room on that, but we get to a point where we will cancel the games because it's too cold out. From a hot weather standpoint, we will we'll play to usually where it's over 100 degrees wet bulb or feels like 100 degrees, but will require a lot of hydration breaks. And then, as typical Oklahoma August, if it gets above a certain level, we'll cancel games because it's hot. But that's a USYS requirement as well. And then also, if the lightning detectors go off, make sure everybody clears the fields. It may look bright and shiny out with one cloud out in the distance, but lightning can travel pretty far. And we have lightning detectors in ESC, and NOKC's is shut down right now because of all the construction. So it's best if somebody were to have a lightning app on their phone and help us police that, that would be good. We've asked all the coaches to do that as well. If you've not been to our website, please go to our website. It is a wealth of information. There's everything. I've tried to put everything you would ever need to know on our website under the manager's corner and the player forums. There's a coaches corner page for all the coaches. There's a lot of really good information that when people have questions, that's where we can easily point them to, especially your players and your parents. There's a new parent section of our website that you can point parents from parent education. And then we'll put out a lot of the news and announcements. If there's field closures, if something cool is happening, if we're having a big event, we'll put out information on the website there. And then, of course, we have our social media, which everybody loves and looks at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to follow as well. As I mentioned, we have player and parent pages or parent resources, player forums, and some of the things you can find there. It's worth a look and definitely worth sending that link to your parents because it'll probably cover some of the questions they may come up with over the season. Most importantly, if they're a new player, we have a new player packet out there, which allows them to kind of see and get read about the club and get familiar with what to expect. And then also we have, I think it's the next page, our policy and procedures. We have an extensive policy and procedures on our website that everybody should read because you agreed to it when you registered your kid. But most important out of this is a communication flow chart. So if a parent has a question about any of the subjects, here's how they should pathway it. Very most or very first, they should probably talk to their coach. Ask their coach about it. Doesn't matter if what the issue is, have them go to the coach. And then if the coach isn't necessarily responding or giving them an answer they feel is adequate, then they can escalate to, depending upon the topic, the coaching leadership, or eventually the operational committee, or if needed, the executive board. For most of the non-player oriented stuff or code of conduct stuff, they can go to you, and then you can bring it to me, and then I'll work it through the operational committee or the executive board if needed. All right, last loose ends, and then we'll get everybody on their way. Um, Use of the OEFC logo and the energy name is restricted unless you get approval from me. There is a form for fundraising on our website that we ask anybody who wants to do fundraising for the club or for their team to go and fill that out. Where I haven't denied anybody in 2 years of something they wanted to do. But we require that because number one, we're a nonprofit and we need to understand how our name and our logo is being used. And number two is we also need to understand what's being used in conjunction with our name and logo. Um, Please share this with your parents. Please let's not have somebody go out and do their own rogue stuff. I know everybody wants to do spirit wear. It's great to have our logo out there, but everybody really needs to ask permission to accomplish it. And I need you all to help me kind of keep an eye out for that stuff. We do encourage fundraising, but again, get approval first. Utilize the fundraising request form, which is we also use for getting the permission to use the logo. And then we'll be happy to help support you in however you want. In fact, I have set up a team marketplace on our website where if you guys do a spirit wear thing and you want to try to sell it to the rest of the club, hats or t-shirts or whatever, you can stick it on there, your store on there, and then have a central place that people can come to in order to order your stuff. So just let me know and I'll stick the link up there. Just be careful with sponsorship and branding because that's the big thing. We have sponsors who have paid to be on our shirts, be paid to be primary sponsors of ours, and we want to avoid conflicting those sponsorships with something that a team is trying to do. There is also those sponsorship shirts that teams like to do where we'll organize a shirt and then you guys go out and sell sponsorships on the back of it, and then you guys have the team players wear them during pregame throughout the season. You can do that, but we're still coordinating all that through the OEFC shop. Jan will help you organize that and then get them printed and get them out for you guys. A couple of caveats on that. Number one, you guys, let's be reasonable on the design. We can't have every team do a different design. You can have different sponsors on the back, but we're going to standardize on the design of the shirt for all teams because number one, it's simpler to print in bulk as we usually need to do with so many teams wanting to do it. And number two, the team can the club can have better understanding of what's being put on the jerseys. We don't have a bunch of different versions out there. So just be aware that we'll have guardrails around our sponsorship shirts. And then, of course, our energy store is online. There's a soccer.com version of it. I think the endowment has a few things out there. We're hoping to expand it a little bit more as well. And then we'll have the team marketplace where you guys can sell whatever your creative ideas come up with. So, with permission. My information, if you guys have any questions, any issues, any concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. To my cell phone number, I've got two separate email addresses you can email me at. I am happy to help and respond through anything that you could possibly need. So please save this in your phones and call me anytime you guys have issues. As always, my door is open. So, all I can say is have fun, good luck out there, and then ask questions. So, with that, thank you for all you do. I will open it up to questions. Um, I think let me jump in the chat ones real quick, but they've been waiting. All right, treasurer question. If there's already an established bank account, can you transfer ownership? Yes, you can transfer ownership. What it would require is I will write you a letter. If you'll reach out to me, I'll write a letter saying this person is the new treasurer of the team and allowed to take responsibility of the bank account. Take that into First Fidelity, and they will transfer the bank account and add you to the bank account. So yes, we can do that. I can knock out those letters pretty quickly. Um, what's an example of a team name that we would use to set up the team account? Well, I've set up for the bank, if you're talking about a bank account, um, OK Energy '06 Girls White. Just something to identify your bank account. It's going to be your bank account, so you'll be writing the checks out of it or, managing it. If you're paying a tournament, it's good to have your team name kind of lined out so the team can or the tournament can recognize who paid for and what team that payment allocation is truly going to. If they get confused, or if I get a check for field usage, then I can track exactly which team is paying. But if you match what's in Got Sport, you can't go wrong. If you just put in the OEFC, you know, 10 girls black, then you're all good too. And then can I go over Team Snap One and look at that? Let's see. The only way to add information is through the app on the phone. Web login doesn't allow it. Or are you going the wrong link? I think that they're pushing most all Team Snap One through the web version. I mean the app version. Um, so I think that's probably going to be the easier way of doing it. I would probably just go check out Team Snap One support. They got a pretty extensive support page and see they've got an AI you can ask how to add players, and it'll tell you exactly what you can do through the web version versus the app version. If you run into problems, let me know and I'll sort through it as well. All right, we have covered a ton of information here. I will open it up to anybody who has a question. If you'll just come off mute and ask a question, and then I'm happy to help. Uh, Question, how are you going to get the presentation? I'm actually going to post this recording and the presentation on our website under the manager corner, hopefully here in the next 24 hours, so that anybody who wants to go revisit it, catch a certain part or whatnot, can certainly do so. And then I'll have the presentation there for you to review as well. All right, any questions out there that just want to jump off and ask? Lisa, I see your question. 2014 girls black and same team, but changed to G15 black. Can we just keep the same account with the old name? Yes, you can. My only encouragement on that is, if you're writing a check to somebody, you might put in the notes the G15 black girls team on there, so that whomever you're writing the check can make the reference. But yeah, I don't have any problem with you maintaining the same account. What triggers your ability to start ordering uniforms now? We last year we did it through a particular app that we built and built rosters in. Now just send the players to the team to Soccer USA's website and have them start ordering there. They do have to put in their jersey number and their team name when they place the order to help us kind of manage somebody's not accidentally ordering the wrong number, but it's always good to make sure to provide that instruction to your player before they place their order as well. You should hopefully before anybody orders, you should have an idea of whose number is what, so you know there's no conflicts on your team. All right. Anybody else? Anybody out there who wants to come off mute? Can you utilize Venmo instead of a credit card? You can if you have a team Venmo account. What we don't want to do is use your personal Venmo to manage team finances, we'll say. Is that the question, or is your question coming from more of an individual standpoint? Because the club does not have a Venmo account, nor is it tied into Got Sport. So you would have to, in Got Sport, you would have to use a credit card. Can a player change their jersey number at Soccer USA? I'm going to say yes, with a gigantic caveat in the sense that Soccer USA said they got or are getting a machine that will take numbers off and put allow them to put new numbers on. I don't know that they have that in their hands yet. So it's worth the call to Soccer USA to ask them that before you take the trip to the store. But they did say that their intention is to have a machine that can take numbers off of existing jerseys. What else? All right, I'm gonna say going once. It is coming in 3 weeks. Thank you, Ashley. Um, yep, they don't have it yet, so not necessarily surprising. So they are sending people to stitch and print to get those removed if needed. The other thing to consider, if you've got a player uh, who has a uniform conflict, to see if there's somebody they can swap out with another team in the age group. Because there are probably multiple players that are running into that same position. And so it may be worth reaching out to one of the other teams in your age group and say, hey, do you have players who are having uniform conflicts and having to change? And maybe it's just a trade. Where do you register for the OPL Fall League? If you'll go to oksoccer.com, then I believe it's leagues and then OPL. There should be a link on there for the 2026 fall OPL registration, and that'll take you to a Got Sport registration page where you use your account, which would then be tied to the team account. Before you register, you need to have access to the team account. So you need to have registered as a team official, and I needed to have added you to that team. But once that happens, you should be able to go and use that account to register your team for OPL. If you have problems, let me know. I can help get it worked out. Usually the issue is you thought you registered to be a team official, or I thought I added you to the team, and we just need to go get that done quickly. If we are a new manager, which thank you for being a new manager, to RL, how do we register for Athlete One? Do I send a link? Actually, I registered all the teams for your leagues yesterday, day before yesterday, one of the two. So I will take care of all that. The only thing you would need to really register for is if you guys decide to do a non-ECNL tournament. Otherwise, I'll take care of the rest of it. All right. I'm going to say going once, going twice. If you have questions, again, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. One other caveat, and I'm going to apologize for this ahead of time. I'm going to start traveling here in about 24 hours. So I will have limited access to Wi-Fi throughout some of my travel. I'm so I may be delayed in responding each day. So if you send something to me and you haven't heard from me for a number of hours, just be patient. I will try to get back to you within 24 hours if I can. Worst case, I'll get back to you when I return. But I think you guys should have enough information now to be able to accomplish most of what you need to do. And then if you have something go crazy, reach out to your coach. Your coach will know who to reach out to that can kind of help accommodate things. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your support of your team and support of the club. It is incredibly, incredibly important, the time that and efforts that you guys are going through, and it is not lost on me on how sometimes challenging that can be. And you all have normal lives and do not necessarily want to be a 24/7 soccer parent. But I do appreciate all of it. Again, my door is always open, and just have a great time out there. Enjoy the kids, enjoy the being part of their lives, their soccer lives, and enjoy the season. So, thank you so much. We'll see you later, and have a great evening. Bye.